Here's a beautiful plant that is just going off, loaded with berries. This is Ribes rubum, also known commonly as red currant. And these are edible. Mm. Mm. Very sweet at first, and then it hits you with this like tartness, kind of slightly acidic flavor. Pretty good though. Very small seeds on the inside. These are a true berry. You can see these this plant is extremely healthy. See these thick, woody stems? This is very tolerant to cold weather. Here in my neck of the woods, your average easygoing weather would be minus 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. And we have had some winters where it dips into the 40s, negative 45. So clearly these are still growing, so they can withstand some pretty harsh temperatures. The leaves are lobed, I believe five lobed leaves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The lobes here on the end are pretty shallow. These are very distinctly lobe. These are in the same family as gooseberries. Grossulariaceae is the family. The leafing is, I believe it's alternate. It's not quite opposite. Yeah, this is an alternate. You can see they don't come out at the same level. They're alternately spreading. So today I have access to 2 of my neighbor's properties, so we're just going to be doing some backyard botany. Probably covering mostly edible plants. I don't believe that these are native to North America. Fairly certain they are from Europe, and they were introduced here. Look at that. Look at that little bug. Just stuffing his face full of berry. Hey, what you doing in there, guy? What you doing in there? Eat that berry, you get a little bit of extra protein. Hey, guy. He's busy eating. Yeah, just absolutely loaded with fruit, and there's a couple of them up here. And I've got permission to pick as many of these as I want, as the neighbor isn't really utilizing them. So he said, go ahead, pick as much as you want. So I will be taking advantage of that. Such a pretty berry, almost kind of translucent. But yeah, just loaded with fruit. Ribes rubum, red currant. All right, we'll move on. There's a very pretty species of Woodgella florida. These kind of ovate, long leaves, very slight serrations on the margins of the leaf. These are very pretty, but they are not native to Canada. I believe they're native to Asia. And these are in the family Caprifoliaceae, I believe. Very pretty flower, but I personally would not plant these. They have their own place in their own continent. Anyways, moving on to some more native botany. Here we have a species of grape. I believe this is fox grape, Vitis labrusca. Got these very tough, woody vines that love to climb. And it shoots off these tendrils. These tendrils are very slightly hairy. You know, very slightly pubescent. And these tendrils will grab onto anything it can to help the plant climb up. Just looking at the bottom here, I can tell this particular species is quite a few years old. Just looking at the thickness of the vine, I can tell it's been cut several times. So yeah, fox grape. These are edible, and I bet you they're very delicious. See, each of these little bundles here, these are immature grapes. I believe the grapes will be kind of purple in color, but these are obviously far too small to start eating. If you're quite observant, you can tell that there's kind of two different leaf shapes. There's this leaf shape, which I commonly associate with grape. And then there's this one, this very heavily lobed shape. See these very deep lobes. And they are serrated quite heavily on the margin. I mean, these are very toothy leaves. The underside, very pale white. A nice green. On the underneath, a pale white. Yeah, looking very healthy, I might say. And just climbing up the side of the house here. I can't wait to come back when these fruits are nice and big. Give them a try. Vitis labrusca, or fox grape. In the family Vitaceae, grape family, Vitaceae or Vitaceae. And they can get quite tall. See, it's just sending shoots. They love sun. That's why they try and climb over everything. Here's a tendril, a very spirally tendril. And you can see it's just wrapped around itself there. It's like a coil or a spring. Family Vitaceae, grape family. Vitis labrusca, fox grape. Alright, let's go check out some other plants. See, I've already collected a good handful in just a minute or two. And I'm not sure what I'm going to make with these. I might just eat them straight up, but you can make a pie with them. You can use them, if you're patient, you can use them to make wine, jam. You can dehydrate them or candy them. So there's quite a few options, and if you dehydrate them or candy them, they can obviously store for a lot longer. But I think I'm just gonna eat them, you know, have a handful every morning with my breakfast, just as is, just fresh like this. Maybe if I collect enough, I'll make a small pie, but they're good as is. I'll just keep collecting for another couple minutes here. They're pretty easy to pick. They just come right off. I'll be back with you shortly. I'm trying to avoid the ones with bugs in them, but you do what you can. Little bug never hurt anybody, right? Alright, so you can see after about 5 minutes of picking, I've got a decent amount. But I was just thinking, plants like this, low growing woody shrubs, are a perfect addition to a food forest. A food forest is, the idea is to grow perennials. That way you don't have to continuously plant things every year. You can just let them do their thing and they'll just keep coming back. But plants exactly like this, low growing, woody perennial shrubs like currants, gooseberries, blueberries, and especially ones that don't have thorns, so they make it easy to pick. These are great additions to your food forest. The idea of a food forest is a great idea, you know, permaculture and all. But you want to have your trees, obviously, you know, like your stone fruits like cherries, plums, peaches, whatever you can grow in your area, in your zone. And then you want to have your high growing canopy trees like nut trees, maybe hazelnuts, walnuts, things like that. But on the ground, you want plants just like this, you know, small shrubs that come back every year, that fruit heavily. They would be a great addition to a food forest. Just some food for thought. I'm gonna keep picking a little more and then continue with the backyard botany. All right, I'm at a different section of the property. Here we have a edible member of the rose family, Rosaceae. This is Rubus idaeus, also called wild raspberry. Thing about wild raspberry is they're covered in thorns, so picking these guys are guaranteed to result in a couple of very minor injuries. Nothing too bad, but it's nice when you get to pick berries and not have to worry about being poked by very sharp thorns. Oh, here's something to worry about. This is an edible Urtica dioica, also known as stinging nettle. And these are edible, but also, hence the name stinging nettle, they will sting you. They've gotten pretty tall. This is about maybe 4 feet tall. The rubus, the flowers are just dying back. There are no mature fruit yet. Here's a very immature berry. Yeah, the thorns are just gripping onto my clothing. I'd say give it about a month and these berries will be ready to pick. But right now, not so much. Here, growing very low to the ground, you have Fargeria virginiana, wild strawberry. Also comes in leaves of 3, like the wild raspberry. And they are also in the same family, Rosaceae, the rose family. Very heavily serrated on the leaves, on the margins. And the stems are red and quite pubescent. Pretty hairy stems. There is one measly little strawberry, and I'm going to eat it. That's about how big they get. About the size of my pinky nail. Oh. Man, buddy's on the move. Delicious. Wow. Oh, so good. Mullen. Interesting about mullein. Oh, got a couple of beetles copulating here. A little money shot of that. I believe these are invasive beetles. I've now moved to the garden section of the property. So I've got tomatoes, tomatoes and cucumbers, bean poles. Just wanted to cover this plant. I used to see fairly often in Ontario. Further south you go. This is Chenopodium album, also called goosefoot, just because the leaves are similar shape to a goosefoot, I guess. Also goes by lamb's quarter. There are several names for this plant, but its Latin name is Chenopodium album. This is an annual, and just wanted to cover it because I had somebody recently ask me a question about this plant. They had it growing in their garden and they wanted to know what it was. And I told them it's not what you want it to be. They thought it might be strawberries, which is a wild mistake to make, but I'm just more familiar with plants. Anyways, it's lamb's quarters, Chenopodium album, and I have actually eaten this on numerous occasions. It is edible. You can treat it like spinach, just boil it down. It makes a good addition to a meal as a side. I'm not sure if the camera will pick this up, but on the leaves you may notice when handling it that this powdery, almost kind of grainy, crystal-like stuff comes off the leaves. These are oxalates, and over time consumption of oxalates can cause problems. So if you're going to consume goosefoot or lamb's quarters, then I suggest consuming in moderation. The leaves are alternate, growing in an alternate pattern. It is in the family Amaranthaceae, the amaranth family. I actually have some amaranth growing over here that I planted, so I want to cultivate the seeds. It's a red root amaranth. But this is the Amaranthaceae family. I believe this is native to like Asia, something like that. It's not native to North America, but it is edible and it is found in your backyard or in your garden. I'm sure of that. Sitting next to a beautiful patch. Just getting whiffs of it every time the wind blows. It smells wonderful. This is Archilea millefolium, common yarrow. It's a beautiful plant. This is also not native, sadly. But it is extremely medicinally beneficial. You can crush the leaves and flower heads and whatnot into like a poultice. You can pack it into a bleeding wound, and it will help constrict blood vessels, causing the wound to stop bleeding. It'll help close that wound. This is an old-timey remedy, a medieval remedy, where soldiers on the battlefield, after getting cut, would probably pack this in their wounds. The tomato. I believe this is the, without the flowers, it's it's gonna be nearly impossible to tell. But I believe this is the beefsteaks, the beefsteak tomatoes. These things get massive. I'm talking like, you know, my hand fully spread out, even bigger. They're wonderful for sandwiches because they're mostly flesh. I'm not a big fan of tomatoes because they tend to have a lot of seeds in them, and these ones are mostly flesh. In the family Solanaceae. And tomatoes are also in the same family as a lot of things. Potatoes are in the Solanaceae family, which is the nightshade family, so they are also in the nightshade family. Potatoes, eggplant, a lot of things that are in this family that you probably consume or have consumed. So cucumber, Cucurbitaceae family. Not sure what variety of cucumber it is. Just some seeds I had. See all that grass. I've got a really bad Peruvian daisy problem. I hate these things. Fucking horrible. Peruvian daisies. This bullshit grass. These lamb's quarters. Like, honestly, if you see it, you should probably just take it out of the ground. I mean, I'm constantly out here plucking shit and I can't keep up with it. Spotted another edible that commonly grows. Trifolium pretense. Clover. Red clover. It is actually in the legume family, Fabaceae, which is the pea family. Tell by those flowers. Those fabaceous flowers. Banner wings and keel. These are edible. You can eat the flower heads, the leaves as well. The older they get, the bitter they are. I do apologize for my dirty ass hands. That must look horrible. Very unappetizing. Wouldn't want to eat it after touching it with these hands. But they are edible. Probably used to eat them as a kid. You take the flower off and suck the nectar out of the back. Or whatever. I don't know. Whatever kids do. That was a thing of my generation, that's for sure. Also the buttercups. Rubbing them on your skin, and if you turn yellow, then you're sick. Or you have cooties. And dandelions. If you pick dandelions, then you'll pee the bed. Those are all things from my generation. Yeah, flower heads are entirely edible. They pack a ton of protein. And I believe they also have phytoestrogens in them. So they may cause changes to the body. They'll probably help with women. But I don't imagine that they would do much good for men. Here's an interesting plant. Not edible, although I have heard that you can dry the leaves and smoke them, like tobacco. This goes by many names. Common mullein, velvet leaf mullein, Indian toilet paper. I've heard it go by many names. I'll tell you what though, if you're strapped for toilet paper in the bush and you come across this, I mean, this is top notch. This is better than Charmin, for sure. Anyways, this is in the family Scrophulariaceae. Long, complicated Latin name. It is Verbascum thapus is the Latin name. And these are not native to North America, that's for damn sure. They're said to be invasive, but they're not too much of a problem. They don't exactly outcompete anything. This central stalk, this is a very interesting thing about this plant. This central stalk, when it fully grows and the flowers fully mature and this thing goes to seed, you can cultivate the seeds, crush them up, and throw them in a still body of water, like a pond or a very small lake maybe, and it will kill all the fish in that pond or lake. Now, doing this is very illegal. You should not do this. But I just think that's a very interesting thing, that the seeds contain a chemical compound that poison the fish. It stops them from being able to use their diaphragm, I believe, which essentially, I mean, you know, you die. You can't breathe. So they rise up and you can collect them. Should not do this though. Anyways, not edible. And like I said, I've heard that you can dry these leaves and like tobacco and smoke them. Never done that though. It was a nice voice crack. Yeah, Verbascum thapus. Mullen, common mullen. Alright, I've made it to a different neighbor's property. This is the last plant for today's video. It's getting pretty hot. This is Ribes sinosbati. Sinosbati. I don't know. If anybody yells at you how you pronounce your Latin words, you can tell them to fuck off. Latin's a dead language. Doesn't matter. Anyways, this is a gooseberry. Prickly gooseberry. You can see these berries. I remember the first time I came across these, I thought they were so cool. Just a spiky ball. And they are pretty tough, these little spikes. You wouldn't want to eat them right now. Once they ripen, the spikes get much softer, but right now I can, as I jam my finger into them, I can feel each little needle point. Anyways, these are, I believe, 6 lobes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 lobes. Some of them have 6. Like those 2 very small lobes. Prickly gooseberry. Ribes sinosbati. Again, another deciduous, woody perennial. Yet this one is actually fairly certain it's native to North America. And it also has, I just felt it as I was feeling the plant, these nasty thorns. Look at that stiff thorn right there. And these are needles. Like, if I poke my finger through it, there you go. Just went through my skin. Pull it off. Yeah, it just poked right through my skin. No problem going through there. Yeah, anyways, these berries are edible. They will ripen kind of a purplish red color once they're fully ripe, but right now they're no good. Anyways, hope you enjoyed today's video. Hope you learned something. Maybe I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Alright, I lied. This will be the last plant that I show. As I walked away from the gooseberries, I noticed these little green dangly balls. And I figured this is probably one that I should mention, considering it's very common and you've probably come across it and wondered what it was. So these are choke cherries, common choke cherry. Prunus virginiana in the rose family. And it's fruiting pretty heavily. I mean, these are these little green balls all over the thing. And so it's way past flower and gone to fruit now. But these fruit are not ripe. When these fruit ripen, they will turn a bright red, and they're edible. They have a pretty tough little pit in them, like a cherry. They are stone fruit, but you gotta get around that pit or spit that pit out, and they're perfectly fine to eat. Interesting fact about cherry pits, they do have cyanide in them, so you should not eat them. You should not consume cherry pits at all. But the reason this is called choke cherry is they are extremely astringent. I mean, to the point where they make your mouth just pucker and dry up. So if you eat, I don't know, a good handful, maybe 10 berries, your mouth will really dry up. And it's pretty noticeable even just after one berry how astringent they are. But they taste fine, and you can consume a large quantity of them. I mean, the only thing you'll probably experience is diarrhea, and they're definitely have a laxative quality. These are perfectly fine to eat, considering you don't eat the pit. Yeah, Prunus virginiana in the rose family, Rosaceae. Very common tree, and a good one to know. Prunus virginiana. All right, well that's everything for this episode. Hope you enjoyed, and peace.